Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, and well, even if you identify this evening as a, I don't know, Ray, like the last prill in the bag of fertilizers or, the last ball in the sack,
Mhm.
welcome tonight. Tonight, we are coming to you live with a guest that we've had on here before. And it's somebody that we kind of put on our rota, right, of guests because we want to check in with, um, basically just to get check in, right? These are folks that I think we want to make sure that we stay in touch with and follow their journey. I think as we do this, I think there's a couple that'll be coming up here that would be even the third time around, J Pink, and I think maybe we'll be in montage territory as an intro before too long. So Jason, we have Jason. Who's apparently based on a physical examination by a medical professional in the state of North Carolina can definitely say that his balls have dropped. We did just learn that here on the pre-show, and so that's good news. I don't know for everybody that knows the male anatomy or not, but that is good news, and we're delighted to have that shared with us tonight, along with a lot of other stuff, right, that we're going to share and talk about. So, Jason, welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm good.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we're doing good, and listen, it's the beginning of the season. It already feels like it's getting late early. At least in my world, I feel like it should be like July right now, based on where we're at work wise and where I'm at mentally. But here it is. It's March 5th, and we were just kicking off. So, um, the last time you were on, it was July of 2023. You were talking to us about going to school there at NC State. You were talking to us about, you were
Penn
working
State.
for Penn State. That's right. Penn State online. Forgot. My bad.
Can't get them
But
confused.
on oh, you can. You can. They're all listen.
I-
So I guess in that sense is tell us what the last year and a half, almost year and a half ish, has been like for you. What has been going on? Where have you been? What have you done? And then we can talk about what's next.
Yeah. So, school worked that out. Did what I had to do. Finally finished up. That was fun. I would definitely say turf school is it's good. I wouldn't say that it's for everybody. If there's anybody watching that was like me a few years ago, I'm not going to tell you you have to go to turf school to be successful because you definitely learn quite a bit, but at the same time, I feel like I learned probably more by watching you guys on this chat than I did in school sometimes. And I mean that respectfully to everybody, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a just a different it's a different way of thinking. I'll just put it that way. They
Well,
teach you to
okay.
think
Let's
critically,
expound on that.
but yeah,
Yeah. So what do you mean by that? I mean, what is it that you learn about? Okay, let me ask it this way. Because I think there are people I first of all, I applaud you because education is something that nobody can take away. I know, Matt, Ray, and I all went and got a formal turf education, but by no means is that the only thing that we rely on, right? And I think you're early on, and you're even saying the same thing. You're, months out of school, right? And you're saying the same thing that, "Hey, it's good, I have it, nobody can take it away from me." But what would you say if you could, like, separate between the school of hard knocks versus, turf school, what from each of those allows you to think critically and do your job on a daily basis? Like, what have you taken away from each of those experiences that is good and helps you?
yeah, definitely. I mean, so first thing off the bat, like if you're young and you go out and you get you a job, like for instance, I started at kind of like how Matt equates when he started at True Green. Um, it's pretty much like that. Like the company I started at was just a local company. They were just very bare bones, basic. Didn't do a whole lot, to be honest with you. Just a basic program, and that kind of just got my feet wet, got me learning at least just like what the different turf types were, and that was about it. And I worked there for 2 years, and I felt like I learned a lot in that job. And then I went to school, and school kind of um, elevated that in a way. So, of course, you're going to learn everything out of a textbook. like I think it's Turf Grass Management. It's by John Kaminsky and Al Turgeon. Like you end up reading that entire book. You learn everything that's in it, and it's good information. But a lot of times, I feel like there's stuff that I wish that they should cut back on, more or less some of like the more nuanced things, and then just kind of allow you to get out in the field more. Because I feel like the biggest issue with school in itself is that they don't prepare you at least for the real world. A lot of it is on a kind of like a flat ground, right? They don't go anything above it. They don't go anything below it. It is what it is. And so I feel like a lot of times they should just at least just give you a better chance really just to go out and go do the work, whether it's going and getting on a truck and going and spraying, which I know that's not what everybody's going to do, but or put you on a skid sprayer and walk a baseball field or something like that. At least just get you out in the elements and let you learn. I feel like that's the biggest thing that school lacks. But school definitely teaches you a lot of the stuff that you can use to kind of like flex, if that makes any sense. If you're a business owner or the likes of that, when you're talking to customers, you typically have a little bit, I think, higher of an understanding. I'm not saying you have to go to school to have a higher understanding, but it kind of prepares you to be able to use that knowledge to your advantage out in the field. But I don't know. Like I said, I feel like it's a good thing to have, but it's definitely not for everybody. Like to be completely honest with you, if I could go back a few years, I wouldn't have gone to school.
Wow.
I would have just kept doing what I was doing. But I learned a lot. I'm not saying it wasn't useful, but I feel like for the money, you could definitely probably do something a little bit more advantageous with that. But I don't know. That may be an unpopular opinion.
No,
Don't hate
I
me
don't
for
know if
that.
it's unpopular. I think it's a personal opinion. I think that it is what you make of it, right? Like school is only what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And I think that's that's a great description of it, of level ground, right? That you're going to get kind of the same information that everybody gets, and um, I don't know, it's hard to get more out of that, right? In terms of depth and everything like that, if you really, really want it. But you can, I guess there's certain ways.
You have to
Uh,
push. Like for me, if I talk to like um, for instance, John Kaminsky at Penn State. If I like called him up and talked to him, I could get so much more out of a phone call with him than I could for a week's worth of class. Same thing like Brad Jacobowski. He's an irrigation teacher at Penn State. I learned more about irrigation from sitting on a Zoom call with that guy for 2 hours than I did in the entire semester. And it's those little conversations I feel like that would make it a whole lot more personal and allow you to grow leaps and bounds within your education than just reading a textbook, answering quizzes on Blackboard, and then moving on to the next subject. Um, but and I feel like if you're in person, it's probably a little different. But online, that's my biggest gripe with it.
You know,
yeah, I mean, I think
J-
that's fair. Go ahead, Ray.
Jason, you just touched on a very good point in that getting to a conversational basis with a lot of these, people is critical because these people have the material that they're required to cover in their course. And then these people also may have a lot of real life experience because some of these people have had to work within the industry and with industry people as well. I mean, I
Yeah.
know I have a resource like that I'm close to. And he's a valuable person. So
I mean, I
Most
think
definitely.
that's a really interesting thing. Oh,
What's
hey,
up, Matt?
Matt's here.
Another day in paradise. Like a dumbass, I had no idea today was Wednesday. Ryan texted me, and I was like, "It's Wednesday."
Listen, some people have time zones. Matt has time days, right? I mean, that's just the way it works out.
Is it
You know?
because I work
I
in
mean-
2 different time zones? Like I work in Central, but I live in Eastern. That
You
somehow
you
my
were
days
you
get
were caught
cross-wired too.
you were caught in the time space continuum there. So
Hey,
No, we were
Jason, I gotta
talking
ask
about.
you have
Go ahead.
you gotta just I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but just real quick. We've got another green behind you. I'm just curious.
It's the best
Tell
green.
what's that truck you got behind you?
So this is my dad's F-150 Lightning.
Uh-huh.
It was his. Um, rest in
Supercharged?
peace, Dad. But yeah, yes, this is his old truck. It's bone stock. It's just lowered. Um,
Just lower.
but
For
yeah,
those of you that
yeah,
don't
this is his
know,
truck. He bought
Jason
it
is
in
also
'95.
he's a car guy. And I got a feeling you turn a few wrenches here and there.
Yeah, yeah. Now, don't tell anybody I said this, or don't tell any of my friends I said this. But if it became came between turf grass and cars, you can take cars all day long. Grass is 150,000 times better than anything cars could be. So, but don't tell them I said that. Keep that on the deal.
This guy right here. Here's something else. Go ahead,
Wow.
Demay. Go ahead.
No, we didn't even plan to talk about this, but it turned into an interesting conversation about, Jason is discussing about going to turf school and how, potentially if he had to go back and do it over again, he might not do that, although he sees the benefit of it, and it basically said it's not for everybody. I agree. Um, I think that there's a certain sense, you lean on some of the stuff maybe later on a little bit more as you go, but yeah, for what you're sinking into college these days, especially in the lawn care world. But I think here's the thing that you mentioned, Jason, that's probably powerful is, the connections and the network that you're able to build because of going to a place like Penn State, and being able to
Mm.
call, Brad Jakubowski, or they just hired a really, really talented professor, Chase Straw. I think probably one of the best turf scientists and extension research people, teachers out there in the country today. So just, being able to call on those folks, if nothing else, if that's all you got out of that was tapped into that network, and then also just like what Ray said, how to have go-to people that you can ask questions to. That's great. But on the flip side of that, like on the, real life living and learned experience and, learning from your fuck ups and listening to us talk about all of our fuck ups. Gosh, I love doing that. We should do that. We should just,
That's
you know,
buddy.
the
Buddy.
Hall of
Buddy,
Oh
Well,
man.
buddy.
well, but
Buddy,
but no,
buddy.
seriously, what is it that you are able to pull now, from those experiences? How is that helping, shape and more of your career now?
Are you referring more to like what I got out of school that's helping me now in the real world?
No, 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 you kinda talked about that, I thought, but, like, yeah, I guess if you
Oh,
wanna talk
okay.
about school too, but what's helped you about, watching us, or I mean, shit, we're just a minuscule little piece,
Oh
but,
yeah. I
you know,
I can talk for
having
hours about that.
having so let's hear it.
Okay, so first off, I just want to put
Somebody's
this out to
trying to give me a
everybody.
heart attack.
I'm completely psychotic. Probably worse than Matt. And the reason I'm going to say that is because I texted
Bold
Wow.
Matt
statement.
like 2 months ago, and there was an app called Podbay. And if anybody has it downloaded on their phone right now, do not delete it. I will pay you $100,000 of money that I don't have in order to be able to take your phone from you and keep it, because
I've got some
all of
news
the
for you,
drive
Jason.
home, yeah,
I have
all the drive home is
found
on there.
I found a file that has all the MP3s on it.
Oh,
At
sweet
least a
baby. Thank
significant
you.
chunk of them. I'm gonna put them in Google
Okay.
Drive and I'll send them to you.
You can text it, because I got a new phone, and I went to go download the app, hit the download button, like the little iCloud little thing.
Uh-huh.
Nothing would load, and I got so mad and frustrated. And I texted you. I was like, I can't find it. So I ended up finding it on the internet. But okay, back to what I was saying. I'm very psychotic because I bet you I've listened to those episodes maybe 30 or 40 times in a row. Like the OG episodes, like when I thought you were going to have an aneurysm over the microphone over uh, how to adopt, like that type stuff. But anyways,
Negate gate.
Negate
yeah,
gate.
negate gate. Let's mix rim sulfuron in a pump sprayer and see what happens. Um,
You
but
just gotta shake it up a little harder, that's all.
Yeah. It
yeah,
happens.
2 more. Yeah, if one glow's good, 2 is gooder.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So watching you guys has been probably the greatest thing ever. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If you guys ever start a university, like an online university for turf grass, that would be the greatest thing known to mankind, because the information that you guys talk about is so in outer space that nobody ever thinks about it. And so when you hear it, you're like, there's no way that that's true. And then you start reading papers, and then you start like diving even in deeper than what you thought you were going to be in. And then before you know it, you're the only reasonable person in your entire area code that has anything even remotely close of truthfulness to what they tell their customers. So yeah, you guys are the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I'm not.
We
As
appreciate
driver
that.
says, I'm not glazing. I'm not glazing. I'm just being 100%
The there's a friend of mine. I've only known this guy maybe, I don't know, 10 years or so, and he described it a few years ago. He has his own podcast, and he was talking about the subject of me got brought up, and they said, well, hey, listen, DeMay is the guy that just fucking infuriates you the minute you meet him, because he's just ripping off all these facts, and he's talking about all this stuff about turf, and he's referencing, nitrogen studies from fucking North Dakota State in 1967, and you think he's completely full of shit, and then you go look it up, and the motherfucker spends like the next 2 years proving you wrong, right? And I think that's how we all are. It's just like I don't know. We I'll say this is that um I appreciate the sentiment, seriously. And I think the humility of all three of us. Yes, we are egotistical pricks to a certain degree. We have to be. It's the double-edged sword that keeps you going, right? It's ego is the rocket up your ass that keeps you going towards the goal, but it's also the thing that can make you explode in midair, like you're the challenger. Too soon? I don't know. But
Nope, not too soon.
the point here, though, is that I guess I'm grateful it hits home, and I'm grateful that I don't know, not to get too corny or sappy, but that I get to hang out with Jay Pink and Matt and Ray as often as we do, because it is cathartic and therapeutic for me to be able to sit and have these conversations with smart fucking people that are just as driven to learn and get better and go out and try and fuck shit up just so they can be better. So anyway,
I'll say this, and I'll relive this day for you so that you can hear it from my point of view. The first day I ever heard about you guys, I will never forget the day. It was September 26th of 2020. Okay. It was like 2 weeks after I started at this first job. No, I'm dead serious. I have it written in my calendar. Like, I will never forget the day. I was on my lunch break in a Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot, parked underneath this tree. And at the time, I had only been into turf grass for like 2 weeks. And so I'm still learning like Bermuda, centipede, zoysia, St. Augustine. Like, that was it, right? Like, at the time, I didn't even know Bahia grass existed. That's how green I was to this. And I was watching YouTube videos trying to learn, right? And I came across Jason Creel. He's a nice guy. I like him.
I love Jason.
And then, yeah, he's a cool dude. And then I came across How To with Doc, of course, because that's where everybody starts. And then Alan Hain. Alan Hain can get bent. But anyways, so I'm watching the videos, and
he might.
It's crazy.
Don't tempt him.
Yeah. And I was watching the videos, and I was like, man, this is great information. This is awesome. And then this video showed up, and it was a whiteboard video of Matt, and it was a whiteboard video about echelon, okay, for diamine and sulfentrazone, like, and it was like a 40-minute long video, and I was like, what the heck am I watching? I don't know who this crazy guy is in front of a whiteboard, but I watched it, and I was like, there's something different about this dude on YouTube. And then I found you guys had the Burning Return podcast. You had just started it too at the time, like it hadn't been around long at all, and so I was watching, and that was the total moment my brain switched and flipped, and I went from this is just a job to no, this is my freaking life. Like, this is going to be the career that I'm going to be in for the rest of my life. And sure enough, from that moment in that Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot to now, I'm a changed man, or a changed ball dropped young man. But it's just very interesting. There you go. That's it right there. If that doesn't give you a boner, I don't know what does.
Today we're going to be talking about echelon.
Oh, God. Just hearing that makes my skin crawl. I almost threw up for half a second there.
And there's only 2 buttons going down too, so that's old school right there.
Look, yeah, only 2 buttons, man. I mean, sometimes you go 3 if you're feeling real crazy. Right then, it was probably cold outside, so I only did the 2 button. The 2 buttons kind of like my standard though, right? If I'm trying to be nice in public, I go 2 buttons. But if I'm going to a seedy bar or something, I'm probably going 3, maybe 4. You never know.
Yeah. And then
he's going full Tubbs and Crockett.
I saw Ryan on a YouTube video. Jay Pink, if you get a moment, look up Ryan DeMay, Columbus, Ohio, or something like that. And there's a video that you did for, I think, ABI Force or something.
Yes.
Oh my god.
The greatest
I just talked about that time. I talked about that video today. Today. Okay, no shit. I was on the phone. I can't say what about who or anything where, but I just talked about this goddamn video today because we were talking about ABI Force. I almost not that one, not that one. That's a terrible video. That's not that one. It's not that one. It's
video.
There's one. I'll find it and send it to you. There's like a director's cut of this video somewhere that's way longer. I legit came within like an inch of being fired for making that video, and they're like,
"Oh yeah,
well, yeah, because I
forgot."
I was employed by the city. And
there
like,
you go. Like, that's it.
And they're like, "Yeah, you had to get paid to say all those nice things and everything." I was like, "Motherfuckers, listen. I shot this video. You want to hear the fucking B-Dubs parking lot story? I shot that video on my day off. I had to get home. That was in the morning. I had to get home and take my son to the doctor at like 11 o'clock that day. I got down there. I shot that whole video. It was like 49 minutes." And we moved the camera 3 times. I shot everything in one fucking take. No do-overs, no nothing. I had this guy who's like the marketing director, one of the co-owners of ABI, there talking to me and like trying to chat me up. And we got done. And he looks at me. His name's Scott Holmes. And Scott looks at me and he's like, "That's never happened before." And I said, "What?" He's like, "We shot that whole thing and you never stopped talking and you said everything right. And I didn't even have to like bait you into saying anything right. You just fucking stitched that all together." I said, "Yeah, that's what I do. Get the fuck out of here, Scott. I got to get my boy to the doctor." And then I, ripped my fake Hollywood cigarette, went back to my trailer, got my makeup off. No, I'm kidding. I mean, no, I don't know what's so awesome about that video. I just
for the City of Columbus Recreation and Parks Department. So I first heard the ABI through a direct email that I got from Pat Dowling, who's one of your product.
You know what that video
How
should
old
be
were
titled?
you in this video?
Call. Oh, this is shot. When was this posted? What's the date on it?
8 years ago. March 30th, 2016.
I shot this in 20. This has been like August of 25. August of 20. No, it was almost 9 years ago, dog. I shot this in like August, September of 2015. So this is 10 years ago. I'd have been 32.
Wow.
So yeah, like I got up there, and you know what? I'm gonna call ABI. I'm gonna call my contact, my boy Corey over there. I'm gonna have him change the title of this to just it won't say ABI. It'll say ABI Force, and it'll cut out Columbus Recreation Parks because I don't work there anymore. It'll just say Ryan DeMay fucking cooks. And that's it. What was so impactful about this video? This is literally just me with ABI, which
it's just cool though.
Some of the videos on YouTube of all the demonstrations of the different implements and whatnot. Really liked it. We're intrigued and wanted to.
You got to think. You got a 17-year-old guy in a Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot that has nothing going for him, and he sees this wicked machine. That is the coolest thing ever. That was like I just lost it when I saw that video. It was cool.
One of the funniest stories ever is so ABI, they were nobody in 2014. Like they were selling direct. They were really just getting their feet under them in the ball field market, everything like that. So I had started like in sports surf in 2013, and I had invited these guys down in 13. I was like, "Hey, come down here. I got 31 fields all in one spot. Go for it. Come down here. We'll demo it. We'll take a look. It'd be awesome. Like, this is a great opportunity for you, all that kind of stuff." And they were like, now we can't make it down there. We just don't have the resources. We can't send a sales rep down there. I was like, dude, you're in South Bend. It's like 4 hours away, 5 hours away from me. They wouldn't do it. So finally I convinced them to come down there, and we do this demo on my, we did the demo on my day off again. I was off on Tuesdays back then. Did a demo on the day off. My son sat in the stroller. He was like fucking a year and a half old and watched me do the demo because I had to watch him on that day. And so we get done. My boss comes out there and he's like, "What do you think?" I said, "Dude, this is like literally the best thing since sliced bread. Like, this is a transformational piece. I've only said that one other time in my entire career, and that was the Toro 648 aerator. Like, those two pieces were just like mind melting, right?" And so he's like, "So, should we buy it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." So, you had the city, you had to buy all this stuff through bid and all this other bullshit. Well, we had this Friends of the Park group that would like take in parking and concession money for the park, and they had shitloads of money. I mean, like six figures in the bank at all times, all that kind of stuff. So I leave. I had to go take my boy home. I'm like, I got to go. Like, just figure it out. We'll sort it out when I come back tomorrow. So I come in the next day, and the fucking thing is parked in the garage, sitting there. And he throws me the keys, and he's like, "Hey, go do it, whatever." And so what he had done was the guy left, and he tells the guy who brought the machine down, who's just like some lackey. He's like, "Hey, how about I buy it from you right here? I'll give you a credit card you can run, from the Friends of the Park group, and we'll just buy it right here." And the guy's like, "That's never happened before. I don't know what to do. Let me call South Bend." So he does, and they're like, "Yes, you can pay $15,000 over the phone on a credit card, and we'll swipe that for you." And they did it and kept it, and we had like, I don't know, 6 of those things when I left. So anyway, I'm talking a bunch about myself. I'm just that just shit blows my mind. I'm so grateful to hear it. I don't know. That's just I can't wrap my mind around that, Jason. So that's pretty cool.
You impacted me.
Oh, god damn it. Don't say that shit. I feel anyway. All right, so you're out there, you're doing it.
Yep.
So let me ask this then. Is what's next? Like, you've gone to school, you've kind of proven to yourself that you can do this. You're, you talked a little bit. Tell me about starting your own business and what that process has been like.
It's definitely interesting. Um, I got screwed over at the last place I worked at. And nothing bad or anything, just it wasn't the right time to be there. It was like it was my time to go. So I just took it as a sign and left. And yeah, it's very interesting. Like, I'd been thinking about doing it for a long time, and it just kind of, I don't know. I always had that thought in the back of my mind, like, there's no way I can ever do this. Like, it's impossible for me to do this, or I'm too young, or I need to wait a few more years, or this or that. And then finally, I just came home one day, and it was right before I quit the other job I was at. And my dad was standing in the kitchen, and we were talking, and he was like, "So, what are you going to do? Because I can tell you're not happy." And I kind of just told him like what my feelings were, and he was like, "Well, then start your own business." And so um, that was like one of the last things that he ever. It was actually the last thing that he ever pushed me to do, and so I just took it and ran with it. And it's been very stressful at times. Like, I don't know what the next day is going to hold, but it's exploded like insanely, like on a astronomical level. I would have never thought that it would have done what it's done this fast. So it's a little scary sometimes. I'm trying to like
Yeah.
keep track of everything that's going on. But yeah, it's going great. Like, my phone rings probably 4 or 5 times a day right now. It's I feel like my sales pitch is pretty straight on right now. I'm closing like 90% of the estimates that I do, but then again, I'm qualifying my leads pretty well, I would think. So they're not bad. They're not bad customers that I'm having to go and talk to. So most of them are already interested before they even pick the phone up and talk to me. But yeah, it's been very
Right.
stressful. Like, setting up an LLC, it was kind of weird because that was like the first time I ever had to do that. So doing all that, setting up a business bank account, getting like an EIN number from the IRS, like all that was pretty stressful for the first few days. And then after that, it's been kind of like smooth sailing. But every day you have that thought in the back of your mind, like, am I going to go bankrupt today? And then you just keep on moving and you just go, day after day and trug along. I figured I was young enough, so if I failed, I failed, but hopefully I don't.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think there's always that thought, and I don't care how small you are, how big you are, right? Like, there's always going to be that thought that one day or 1 minute you feel like you're going to be the richest person in your industry and just kill it and everything like that, and the next, you feel like, God damn, what size Walmart smock do I wear? Am I an extra large? Am I a large? I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Working
I
at the
don't
deli
like
counter at Kroger is not that bad. Will it? Would it be? Would it be?
Would it be?
Anyway, go.
I like,
What?
and don't take it that I'm not trying to be like a True Green or a Spring Green or anything like that. Like, I want max 250 accounts that pay me a crap ton of money every time I go out there to do it, and that's all I want to do. I just want to have that little bit of customers that I have, make the money that I want to make, and just absolutely drop my balls on everybody in town and have the best looking yards. That's all I want to do. I don't care about volume or any of that. I just want to have good customers that trust me, that I trust them, and that's it. That's all I want. So I'm pretty simple. I'm not looking to be set the world on fire.
When you the other companies you worked for, were they more of the volume model or kind of a blend of it? How would you describe that?
Yeah, so the first company I worked for, I don't care. That I know the owner. He doesn't care if I talk about it. His name's well, I'm not going to say his name, but it's Freedom Lawns. They are a like a regional turf grass company, if that makes any sense.
Uh-huh.
They have locations in like Raleigh, Hampstead, Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, Charleston. But yeah, so I worked for them, and they're kind of like, Matt, I would equate it to Fairway Lawns.
Mhm.
They're just volume based, that hometown kind of service provider that you can call on and you can trust.
Mhm.
So I worked for them first, volume lawn care, like running a route off a truck, pulling a skid, and then left there and went and worked at another company, which I will not say the name for because I don't like them. Um, and they are a full landscape company. So they do
Mm.
landscape, install, turf, irrigation, all of it. And it was all commercial. Like, I think we had 2 residential accounts, and the rest of it was all HOA stuff. And so I
Yeah.
felt like it was great, right? Because it allowed me to um, sharpen my teeth on the volume lawn care side, and then allowed me to sharpen my teeth on the commercial side and learn how to be as efficient as possible throughout my day in a volume side, and then learn how to be as efficient as I can to knock through a massive 20-acre HOA as fast as I can on a machine. And so
Yeah.
the 2 of them were like a perfect storm, and it was like 50-50 combined made 100. And that
Uh-huh.
gave me the tools that I'm at now to be able to kind of focus. And so I take a little bit from both of those jobs and combine them into 2 to kind of do my thing. So yeah, but
Let me ask you
definitely
this.
interesting.
The was it an interpersonal conflict with the landscaping company
Oh yeah,
gig, or was it okay? I was gonna say,
yeah,
like, when one of the things I noticed is when I sprayed for a landscape company before, it was one of those things where they were like, look, we don't know anything about maintaining grass. We do nothing. That's the whole reason we're bringing you in, is because right now we sub it out. We'd rather bring it in house. But it's all right. Did that. And then you start bringing it in house, and then they don't understand that you don't operate with the landscaping crew. And it was always like a very bizarre thing that I didn't operate on their schedule. I didn't ride in their truck. I didn't operate with a backpack and a push spreader and a couple bags of fertilizer to go do 8-10 acre properties, right? And it was such a bizarre conversation when I was like, no, absolutely not. Like, we need a skid sprayer, or like, we're talking serious acreage here, man. We're not going to do this. With 2 Joes in a truck kind of thing out here slinging a bag of whatever we got at Home Depot for $47 or whatever. It's just that's not how this goes.
yeah.
And then come to find out, he bid the projects with the applications included, but he never priced the applications, right? So it was all a losing endeavor. So of
Thank
course,
you. That's the
had to
same thing
cost
that I did.
$50 to treat 8 acres, because there was literally no budget for it. It was never factored into the bid, and now he's being called on to perform it, right? And so that created a lot of conflict, and I think that was just more of a general lack of awareness. One second.
Matt,
Yeah. Sorry, Ray.
okay,
You're good.
I saw a similar situation back when I was somebody's quote unquote employee, in that when I started taking what I did, to higher and higher levels, I come to find out all of these jobs and whatever were not bid appropriately or properly. And an example of that is one day my boss and I were sitting down and he asked me, okay, what would it cost to keep this particular property, sprayed and fertilized per month or per year? I told him. And he fell down because that price that I put out was nowhere near covered. Nowhere near covered. And likewise,
So all landscape spraying is all for a loss. I'm convinced of
okay,
that.
and then, we're gonna kind of parlay this into, for example, why I don't deal with subcontracting. Why I don't do it. And you know why I don't do it, Jason?
Why?
By the time somebody realizes that they need to find somebody to do this, they have not built this into their bid or their price. They normally have not, Jason. Okay? They haven't. And
Yeah.
you are going to.
That's the way it all is, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
They just
they haven't-
think that they're going to make money on it somehow.
They're going to make money on it, but then you tell them, hang on. This is what it's going to cost per year. Okay? This is what it'll cost.
I mean, it's a function of finding the right partner, right? And
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be everything to everybody. And you've said already that your lawn care company, much like a good seaweed extract, Matt, is boutique, right? And so you have to approach it like that when you vet out these people and take them on the journey of like, listen, I don't price things the way that you may be used to, right? And I think having an honest conversation up front, like, hey, when you go bid work, are you actually measuring the properties that you're bidding? Are you quoting to win the work and then add change orders and do things to increase or upsell services after the fact? Or are you bidding the property as you see it and telling somebody, hey, I'm going to do what it takes to take care of your property, right? And somebody that's willing to take you along and say, listen, we don't spray and fertilize. In fact, we know that we're so piss poor at it and so relentlessly focused on delivering a quality landscape experience that we hire the best people to come in and do it that are the best at it, right? And because we're not. And so I think some of that, right? Those are the type of companies that are willing to have an honest conversation with their customer and explain the experience and explain the value that they bring and are willing to go out of their way to do it. The dickbags that want to come in and just say, yeah, man, I'll beat that guy's price by X. Those are not your people, right? Those are the people that, like you said, they are like, hey, you got to do this for $30. I mean, I see this happen all the time on the commercial side. I know some guys that are in that world where they have like a landscape company that says, hey, we take care of warehouses or strip malls or something like that. Well, and we bid the contract and we need you to come in and do it. All right, we're going to need, 2.25 an acre, to come in and do this, something like that. 225,
Oh,
$300,
two
whatever.
and a quarter, dude. Atlanta metro area. I know people down there that are doing pure, subcontracting for some of the bigger boys that get all those. 140, 130 an acre.
Take 105.
And that's what I was going to say.
105
And that's what I was going to say is you would say that number and they would say half. I can give you half. That's it.
My thing is, how do you make money at $105 an acre on a warm season
You
turf grass
don't.
program in Georgia? You don't, you don't. You lose money, and they don't care. Like they go out there and they just send it. And I'll tell you this real quick. You'll like this. All right, put your earmuffs on, Ray. The company that I left, they were just going to quit spraying, right? And then these fools decided that they wanted to try it without me there, right? I'm not saying I'm like a god or anything. I'm a complete idiot, okay?
That's a good one. I like this.
All right. So I leave. And by the way, the program reran. So I did 250 acres around 9 times a year. Okay. By myself with this permagreen right behind me. Oh, that hand. Yeah. That permagreen right behind me. And by the way, I got those fools. I got that thing for stupid cheap so they can kiss it. But anyways, so they're like, okay, so I parted ways, everything. They were just going to quit spraying. And then they're like, you know what? We're going to try and do it in-house. So whatever. Cool. So they have no licensed applicator, by the way. I don't think they're. So I don't know how they're even doing it legally. But anyways, they are running a 24-5-11 coated with prodiamine, and it's methylene, urea, and MOP. And they put it out all of last week, and they're going and doing it, I think, 2 or 3 times a year. And the dude that is running the program claims that he's going to get 180 days in our climate with 60 inches of rain out of methylene, urea, and MOP. And he thinks that's going to be good on centipede.
The old Helena special, baby.
It's going to be hilarious. Like, that's going to be the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life this summer, because goosegrass is like, Charlie Daniels, he wrote the song Devil Came Down to Georgia. Goosegrass came down to North Carolina because it is everywhere. So they're going to have a heyday with that one. But anyways, yeah, it's just crazy. Like, everybody is just stupid in the area when it comes to landscape companies. It's all for a loss. Every last bit of it's for a loss, and they don't care. And then they wonder why they lose money. But yeah,
they lose money on that aspect. They only hope to get it back if they win the bid on a big ticket install job. And because remember now, Jason, that was my world 20 years ago. That was my world. I'm familiar.
So it's terrible.
Yeah, but okay, here's the deal with that. You're wondering, why am I so well versed in irrigation stuff? Do you know why I'm so well versed in dealing with irrigation? Matt, Ryan, Jason. Do you know why?
It's a matter of have to be.
I have to, because I come into a lawn and landscape and I assess the situation, and I know that I am not going to be spraying my way out of the problem that is there. The actual issue is irrigation.
Yeah.
That's the actual issue. Okay?
Yeah.
So there's a reason why I've done things anywhere from modify a few heads all the way up to say, let's scrap this guy and install all new. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and but then my whole point is that these were jobs installed by supposedly reputable companies. Okay? These were not jobs installed by chucks in a truck. These were jobs installed by supposedly reputable companies.
And I think that's the thing, Jason, is as you get out there and, whether it's certain geography or whatever, you're going to see who those players are. And I will say this unequivocally, and I don't just mean this in my specific geography, but I see this a lot, is there are typically, I don't know, it depends on the market, but anywhere from like 2 to maybe 4 or 5 like really high end full service companies, right? And even some of those don't have an in-house person. And out of those 2 to 5 in a given, MSA, you're gonna have, I'm gonna say maybe 40%, right? 2 out of 5 that are like exceptionally good at what they do, and the other ones are just LARPing with slick marketing and good branding and nice trucks, and that's it. The rest of it underneath is a goddamn shit show, right? So, I think it's maybe identifying and vetting out who those people are in your market and introducing yourself and literally just that, like, hey, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here to tell you I'm here, right? And if
I've
you
done that.
have a
Yeah.
problem that comes up, that's perfect. That's great.
Yep.
That,
Yeah. It's worked.
giving value, good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's here's
That's
the
not the
here's
place I
the
want to be, though. I do not want to
yeah.
be the subcontract guy that runs around town. That's not my. That is.
No,
Nope.
you
Nope.
definitely don't want to do that.
No. I've reevaluated that whole situation because early on, Jason, I was, you know, needing business and I took some of those kinds of, jobs, but I learned. Okay, I learned. And the reason why I learned is for the first of all, people would want to drop dead when I told them what the price was for the job. They would drop dead.
Drop that bitch.
They.
I mean,
They
what
wanted,
is your response? Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, they would die because, and some of them would tell me, Ray, this is our entire maintenance budget for the year. What do you mean? And then, later on, as I'm doing this, I realize, hey, you know what? My prices for full service lawn care uh fall in line with my price plus whatever they were charging. So there's that.
I mean, what kind of response do you get about pricing, Jason? I mean, are you, and how are you, setting your pricing? I'm not asking what your pricing is, but
Yeah.
what tools are you using and what are you doing to measure that relative to what you think you can get?
Yeah, so I kind of already have like a general understanding from most of like the basic bare bones companies here in town and what they charge, and so I was able to use that as like a very rudimentary bones to the system that I like my pricing structure that I made, and so I took that and I ran. So I took all the rounds that I do every year, right? Um, Broke it down all the way down to cost per thousand, and was able to kind of like rebuild it pretty much to what I know it costs per acre to spray. Um, and then I was able to go back and find, okay, well, what I want to pay myself, what is my insurance, what's my gas, what's everything, like what's all my overhead on top of
Mhm.
my chemical cost. And then I took how much I wanted to get paid, built the structure out essentially, and I found, okay, well, like this isn't too bad. Like this isn't, it's an expensive program. It's more expensive than pretty much everybody, but this isn't too terrible. And at first, the plan was to just run like a 7 app program, and then everything else that you needed was just going to be add on. So, like if you had like a fire ant problem, you had to call me. It's going to be an additional charge. And I tried that like for the first probably month or two that I did this, and I wasn't finding a whole lot of success in it because a lot of people, their biggest concern and their biggest gripe with that was that if it's in the middle of the summertime or their refrigerator breaks or their oven goes down or their washing machine goes down and they got to spend some money, now they got to worry about forking money out to the lawn guy, right? And so I kind of took that and I like sat down and I thought like as much as I could, how can I make this program that is so expensive be so appealing to virtually any client that calls me that is looking for the top of the line care, because pretty much every customer that I've had so far has gotten burned by some local company at some point in time. And they're just tired of being lied to, and they're tired of having just a subpar service provider that shows up, gets out of the truck, sprays the yard in 30 seconds, and gets back out before Mrs. Jones can grab her coffee and get to the front door to even ask them a question. And so I kind of thought about it a lot, and I was like, okay, let's up this program. So I went from like kind of psychotic to even more psychotic. Like, let's get more expensive with this thing. So I jumped to 9 apps, and then I went to a fully inclusive program. So pretty much everything is included in the price. So like your fungicides, insecticides, we do a PGR program within it. If you want tree and shrub, that's additional. But pretty much like any extra billable application you can imagine is already baked into that price. And so I went a little bit more expensive. And I found that as soon as I did that, and I started explaining that pitch to the customer, like, look, I'm going to take care of every single problem before it even becomes a problem. And that's the value that you get out of me. The value that you get from hiring me, opposed to chucking a truck down the street, is that you don't have to call me randomly on a Friday night in the middle of June and say that you had this problem when you came home from work. Or you don't have to call me in November when you get home and you see that smoke ring in your backyard and your zoysia, the grass, it's large patch. You don't have to worry about that. And we can just kind of cut this relationship down to super bare bones. You can call me when you have any basic question, but other than that, you don't have to call me. I don't have to call you, and this can remain a super symbiotic relationship, and we can both benefit from this. And as soon as I started doing that, that is when I noticed that things just went haywire. And they love it because I found, like, I just don't lie. Like, I don't lie to customers. I'm not going to tell them something that they don't need. I'm not going to tell them that I can fix this if I can't. And maybe I spiraled off their initial question, but that's kind of like what I found was just provide the absolute most baller service that you could imagine for the price that you're worth. And as long as you show your confidence and you have the resume to back that up, you have the experience to back it up, and you have the results that you can prove to them, you can get any customer. And so that's what I started doing. And it's worked. It's worked pretty well so far. And it also keeps the bad customers away. The people that just want to kick rocks and, they just want to talk to you on the phone and have you come out and talk to you for 45 minutes because they're lonely. And then you get back in your truck and leave and you never hear from them again. That's gotten completely rid of that problem. Like, I don't have it anymore. So, yeah. Did I answer your question at all, or did I not? I don't know.
That was one of the most compelling pitches. Not only did I get bricked up, I want to have you come. Will you drive? What's the trip charge to Columbus, Ohio? What do you get to drop the tailgate in Columbus, Ohio?
Jason,
let me see how much diesel is, and then I'll find out.
You know what, Jason?
Fuel surcharge, environmental fee.
Yeah.
From who?
Tolls.
From who did you model your business after? Because I gotta say, that is how I approach sales. Because
I think I modeled it after you, Ray, and a couple other people. To be honest with you,
because people are a little surprised when I've met them and I tell them, hey, I have this going on in the lawn or this going on with the ornamentals. Is this going to cost me extra? And I said, no. What I quote you is what you pay. And you know what this cuts out, Jason, the way you're doing it? You know what this cuts out? This cuts out the finger pointing and the problems when a problem actually arises.
It's all on you, the applicator, every last bit of it.
It's all on you, and that is actually liberating, because to me, all I need to do is just, hey, keep the applications going, no issues, and I don't run into a situation where I have to come back to somebody and tell them, oh, this is happening and this will cost you extra. People don't like to hear that.
They don't like, if you break it down to the most just minute level, customers hate spending money. They don't want to pay you. They don't want to pay me to come out and spray their lawn. They don't want to pay Ray. They don't want to pay Ryan. They don't want to pay Matt. They don't want to pay any of us. They hate the lawn most of the time.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that they have to show, in addition to their house, that their property is top of the line. I mean, because like people around here are so competitive. Like they want their yard to be 10 times better than Mrs. Jones next door, and they just want to completely compound over top of that. And so, you know, if they can if they can pay the amount of money that they feel is worthy to a good person to take care of their yard, they'll do it. Like 9 times out of 10. And I don't know, Ray. It's just like it is interesting because, like you said, it is liberating because there's nothing worse than pulling up to a yard that looked so good in the summer months. And let's say like you pull up on a Bermuda lawn, right? And last time you were there, it was screaming green. It was low cut, looked great. And you pull up, and it's got dollar spot out the wazoo. Like this thing looks like a bunch of pennies thrown in the yard. And now it makes you look bad because your flag's in the yard, and it makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. So if I can just cut that out and just go ahead and take care of the problem, because they're going to have to pay for it anyways at some point, just go ahead and pay for it now, and then we don't have to worry about it. And
right. You see, it's that is just like a different way of working, and that also displays your competence as well, because that means that you are looking ahead and seeing into the future, regarding somebody's lawn and landscape. Is you're looking into the future, because that is kind of the conversations that I have with people, where I tell them, yeah, I know approximately what's going to happen to the lawn during any given part of the year, and there's already a plan or provision for it. It's that plan.
And like
it is that
yeah,
plan.
and part of it too was watching some old videos of Matt's from years ago when he was on a truck. And there's videos that you did, Matt, like you'd be out in the yard and you'd kind of say the same thing. You were like, this yard looked great. Well, now it looks like crap, and now I got to fix it. And the customer's going to pay me, and this is what I'm doing to fix it. And like I said, if you can just cut all that out, because, and this is the other thing too, right? And I mean, I'm not telling you guys anything that you don't already know, but if there's somebody that doesn't know this, it'll help. There he is. Look at him. But yeah, like if a customer has an issue, right? Like I said, let's say go back to the zoysia thing, because I hate zoysia grass. Let's say they have large patch in their yard. They're like, if they show up and they get home and they got large patch or something, like they came home from vacation, and they find that there's an issue, that already just drops. That just straight up drops the amount of trust that they have in you as an applicator. Like right off the bat, that's going to make them doubt. That's going to make them think, does this guy, like, I'm paying this guy this amount of money, and this is what he has to show for it?
Oh, and we're add to that.
It just doesn't make sense that people don't take care of it on a preventative measure.
No, and add to that. Now imagine your conversation, Jason, if you were to tell this person, oh, this will also, quote unquote, cost you extra.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, this will cost you
$250 now for me to take.
Yeah, this will cost you.
Flip out.
Yeah, they trip out. On the other hand, my honest conversation with people all along has been, yes, I sound expensive. Yes, I do. I mean, I'll give myself that. Then I rattle off some fungicide prices, and then people get it. Once I tell them, oh yeah, by the way, that Xteris stuff, yeah, that's $300-something for 2.5 gallons. Or that Lexicon, oh, $500 for 21 ounces. Let's and I tell them the reason why I don't cost what other people do is because I deal in these materials, and oftentimes they're applied preventatively, because what I believe and people can correct me if I'm wrong, is by the time you see that kind of issue, you're actually too late. You're actually too late. Like, take your example of large patch, Jason. By the time you see the large patch damage, you are way too late. Because I for example, the other day I had an interesting phone call. One of my quote unquote friends asked me because he is seeing large patch in his lawn, and the lawns that he maintains. And you know what I told him?
It's too late.
You done fucked up, because you should have been applying fungicides and other starting in last October. You tell me about this, and you say you have a problem, and it's now, February. You're too late, pal.
Yeah.
You're too late.
What do y'all think, Matt and Ryan? Am I doing it wrong or no?
Miss that.
Mhm.
Here's
No,
the
I
thing:
don't-
is that there is no right or wrong answer. My personal opinion is that it's a matter of wherever you feel like you are most comfortable, and it may change. You're young. You're going to go through many different cycles in your life. You're going to go through many different wants in your lifestyle, and you may fall in love with different aspects of the business and grow to hate other aspects of the business. And that's all perfectly normal. It should evolve as you evolve, because it's your fucking business, man. So don't ever worry about, am I doing anything right or wrong? There is no right or wrong. It's every day you wake up, it's just another opportunity to make it what you want it to be.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think uh being I don't know who said this. That's not, I'm co-opting the phrase from somebody, but just ruthlessly authentic, right? Just if you can be ruthless in being yourself and who you are and being in the moment and all that kind of stuff, it makes it a lot easier. And if you're not, those problems only magnify themselves as you get bigger and you scale and everything like that. How old are you? You're 22, right?
22, yeah.
22. I would say, and trust me, I have seen I'm going to use a Matt Martin. Well, I don't know if he's ever used this one, but I'm going to give him a new one. I have seen a gaggle fuck full of early 20 something turf people in my day. Have had them intern for me, have had them work under me, work alongside me, all that kind of stuff. And I feel pretty confident about, like, okay, being sort of like the Mel Kiper and saying, I think this is how your career is going to go, where you're going to be, what you're going to do. I will say that I think you will stay one person for a while, but I think that you will scale up to a certain degree. And I think one of the main drivers of that is that you will realize the impact that you are having, because I think impact is important to you. I think we were just talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
this, on the pre-show, the Tony Robbins thing, right? I think impact is important to you. And I also think too that you don't know it yet. I can see it already. You will need to be a teacher. And that's not because you need to be, because I've got 6 guys working for me and none of them know what to do and everything like that. You will need to share your knowledge through teaching it, right? That is the highest level of knowing anything, right? Is being able to teach it in a way that a person who's a beginner that doesn't understand it can know it and begin to, absorb it and take it in, put it into practice, use it, get better, all those types of things, right? And the other part too is I can see that you're a leader. I can see that just by the way you carry yourself and the way that you talk about your business, like you're thinking in terms, steps ahead, right? The Chuck in the truck's like, maybe knows that tomorrow, he'll spray a few lawns, he'll buy a monster at the gas station, and hopefully take a good shit. Like that's as far as he's planned out what he's going to do. And right after, he's doing his 4th lawn for $30, and he swings into Home Depot to buy a few more bags of Black Cow and some of that. What is that? What that guy call it, Matt? Virago. Remember the Virago guy? God,
Yes. Oh
that makes
Lord.
me that makes me want to vomit a little
Forgot
bit.
all about that.
But
Uh,
God, what was that guy? I don't even remember. Lawn Father.
the Lawn Father.
God,
Yes.
we've outlasted some real fuck sticks. You gotta at least you gotta love our stamina in this whole thing. But I just that's the way I see it going for you. And I mean, hey, if you do it, great. If you don't, I don't care. But I just see those things, right? And it's not often that I do. So I mean, take that as a compliment, please. And I don't know. I hired a young person here. Oh gosh, uh, what was that? 6 months ago? Yeah, something like that. 6 months ago. And it's actually funny because he, you talked about going to turf school and everything like that. So this kid was actually in one of my classes, right? I've taught, I don't know, 4 or 5, something like that, 4 or 5 semesters at Ohio State, and I had him in 2 of my classes, and I failed him the first 2 times I had him because he was exceptionally bright, smart, but he would spend too much time working and doing things around campus with his campus job that was related to turf, and he wouldn't turn his assignments in. And so the first time he came to me, he said, "Dude, hey, how about I could do some extra credit?" Like, no, like you don't do the work. That's not the way that it works. And I remember the second time that it happened, I had said, "Hey, listen, I've talked to you about this, but I'm going to tell you something. I see things and qualities in you that will make you ultra successful. It's just that you hate school and are choosing not to participate in a way that will make you successful here. However, when you get out in the real world, just like what you were saying, Jason, school doesn't reward things that necessarily will make you successful in real life, right? In business and things like that. And so I said, hey, listen, I failed you twice, but someday I'm going to hire you. And it took me 2 years to get there, but I got him, and
That's good, yeah.
that young man who is the same age as you, uh, will do great things. I have no doubt in my mind. I can see it. I've been intentional about telling him that and letting him know what I expect out of him to do that. But knowing that, hey, it's going to take years to get to the level that he's capable of and to reach his ceiling. And I think that's the message that is important for you is that um, I think you're like Matt said about being happy and being authentic and everything. I think that's important, but I think you also need to learn when your head is banging up against the ceiling and when you need to smash up to the next floor above and challenge yourself a little bit more. And not to say that you don't, but it gets harder and harder to learn where that point is because you just get stuck in a rut and you're doing stuff and whatever. So anyhow,
Yeah.
I
Like
think
one of the things I would say is that it is there will be moments, more than one, where you feel it at the absolute depths of your bones that your business is running you. And you're going to hit a limit where you're like, this sucks. I want no more part of it. We need to turn this around where I own my business again. And I just embrace it and understand that you, as much as you try to be, you will get yourself in that situation, not because you don't know what you're doing. You over promise, under deliver. It's merely just because honestly, it's because you fucking care, right? You'll get really into it. You care way more than sometimes you need to. And that is where you'll find yourself in that situation. And you got to deal with it. And you got to figure out, all right, I've learned now that is one side of the limit I do not like. So I'm going to put that wall up. We're never going to approach that again. And you navigate your way through it. And you're going to bounce against wall. And you'll be like, man, I wasn't paying attention enough there. And, this 2-3 problems snuck up on me, whether that be maintenance or I didn't keep this part on the shelf that I should have had on the fucking shelf the whole time. Just stuff like that. So, embrace it and understand it 100%. It sucks. If you ever need to commiserate, we will always be here to commiserate with you because I feel like
you have
twice
to.
a year I
You,
run into that. This is what
you
it is.
have to.
Yeah.
Such is life, right?
So I guess as you're doing this and everything like that, there's the parts about growth and uncomfortability and everything like that. Let me ask this. You talked about what you learned in school, you talked about hard knocks, you talked about all these good things. What is the where's the gray area right now for you? What's the uncomfortable state? Like, what is the thing that you're trying to lean into? Like, hey, I don't know enough about this, and it might not be agronomic, right? It might be business related or otherwise. Is like, where is that gray area right now for you?
So this is the biggest okay. So I'll back up a little bit. So I ended up I acquired an Ecolon 250 not too long ago, and I figured so like most of the well, I take that back. There's only one guy in our area that does top dressing, and he does a decent job, but he does only compost, right? Like he refuses to do sand. He doesn't understand the value that sand brings to a turf grass setting. And so I kind of was thinking, I was like, man, like that would be an awesome like little side thing to do, like when I'm on the weekends or something on Saturday, if there's a customer that wants their lawn leveled or something like that, like let's go for it. And so that's like been the biggest thing that has freaked me out the most, but gets me the most excited because um, I think that's going to be able to like differentiate me in some of these higher end neighborhoods, especially like Real Cut, Bermuda, or Zoysia, or something like that. It'll be able to differentiate me because people that are going to take care of the lawn, it'll be a smoother cut, it'll be a nicer cut, drainage will be better, just things like that. And so I was like, yeah, let's start doing top dressing. And so I have this eco lawn, I have a dump trailer that I'm going to get on Friday. I have a F-250. I have everything to do it with, but never done it. So like that's the biggest gray area that I'm in right now is trying to figure out how to price it. I know how to do it. I mean, I've done it a few times, but never on a customer's yard. But how to price it, um, just kind of how to go about it. That's like the biggest thing that freaks me out the most right now because I feel like that I could make a lot of money doing it, but I just don't
Can
really like.
you?
I
Can
don't.
you?
I don't know how to do
Because
it, if that makes any sense,
okay, here's where
or how to go about it.
I'm going to tell you to be cautious.
I'm going to do the
that-
opposite. You go first, Ray.
Okay.
I'll probably meet in the middle.
Here's what I'm going to tell you to be a little bit cautious is that as far as sand, top dressing, think it will cost more than you think it.
I know it's going to be stupid expensive.
Oh, it's going to be stupid expensive. I mean, I'm not saying not to do it. I'm saying to price accordingly. Okay, I'm just saying to price, do your numbers and then add to them. That's all I'm going to say. And I yield the floor.
I'm going to say lean into it and go 100% is market it like you would your lawn care. And and this is why I think this is one of those things where you will first off, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, right? Because from a love standpoint, it's going to buy you a time through the remainder of the year because you're how many different grass types are you dealing with?
Bermuda grass, zoysia, St. Augustine, centipede. Uh, I know paspalum is not like bull paspalum is not a turf grass, but there's bull paspalum yards that people actually grow here. Like I'm not kidding. I'm dead serious. And then
I know
Bahia
exactly
grass.
what you're talking about. Yep.
It happens.
So yeah, so it's pretty much like 6. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, right? That especially for the grass types that you can't really develop a fertilizer program for. Like I don't care what anybody fucking says, you're not gonna fertilize program centipede. You're never gonna convince me. I don't care who you are. So as a result of that, this is one of those things that you can do that you will get a positive benefit from that's not going to kill the yard and you'll be happy with. So in my opinion, hell yeah, do it. Like don't even hesitate, do it. The headache is that you got to get, material from point A to point B. Are you going to have a dump truck that you carry it on? Or are you going to have a dump trailer?
Yeah. it's
You
a
know,
big boat
how are you
trailer.
going to schedule it into your routes, right? Are you going to save it just for weekends and you're going to make it a weekend thing? Are you going to try and run it during the week? Are you going to try to run it in spring in between fungicide applications on your St. Augustine yards that are starting to break out all of a sudden? You know, what is it going to look like? So that little logistics part is just something you're going to have to deal with. Outside of that, in my personal opinion, you're going to love it top to bottom, left to right, because it's going the time you put into it up front of having to deal with it, taking the time to get it down, learning how to, not throw it into, all the sidewalks or, stone back patios and all that shit that you got to go clean up. But what you'll do is you'll play around with your compost formulations. You'll go through 3 or 4 different suppliers. You're going to find one that has like hypodermic needles in it, and you're going to have a real nasty conversation with them. And then you're going to play around with it. I know the kind of personality you have. You're probably going to end up, sourcing it. You're going to store it somewhere on a property, and you're going to fuck around with it, right? You're going to go dump a bag of nitrogen in it, and see what happens with it. And you're going to go spread it on your yard. Probably kill a section of your grass the first time. You start dialing it back, and then you're going to get this, and then you're going to add it to it, and then oh man, this guy's got all this shit from his cannabis grow or whatever, and he needs to get rid of it. All right, I'll take it. Then you load it up, and it'll become like another aspect of the business that you find yourself enjoying because it's completely new. And then as you begin to develop the trends and different inputs and outputs you get out of it, I say steer into it.
It's good to know.
Well, I think you got to be cautious in how you price it at first, in terms of be a little bit on the higher side. Make sure that you got the right materials. And the same thing, just as Matt was alluding to, is talk to them about why you're using the type of sand that you're using instead of just using play sand that's going to seal that lawn off and eventually cause more problems right down the road, right? And just say that, hey, listen, here's why. And one of the analogies I like to use when it comes to that, we'll say, well, I just use play sand. Well, okay. Think about sand is a good one, right? So just like all water is wet, but not necessarily drinkable, right? Or potable. So you would want to say for sand, think of sand like lumber, right? So you've got different sizes of lumber, right? And you use that to build a house. Well, play sand would be like building your house out of like 2x2s in Luan, right? Like, yeah, you can stand up 4 walls and get that bitch up there, but in the times that the wind's howling or you got rain or whatever, it's probably not gonna be the best structure to be in, right? And so honestly, that's what ends up happening out there on the lawn. That's why we use, a properly graded sand that's properly sized, that we have the right balance of all the different sizes of lumber that we absolutely need, right? So you can use those kind of tools to sell on what you're using and why you're using it. And obviously the resultant cost of finding a sand like that, it only comes from a few different places. And so to get it here to your house cost me X, and that's why it's so much, right? I think having the right tools to do the job. So you talked about dump trailer, you talked about all these other things. Do you go pick it up? Do you have it delivered? That probably depends on the volume that you need, right? Because trucking anything less than 20 tons, you're going to pay a premium for. And it might be worth it to go get, 2 loads of 4 tons, right? And put it in your dump trailer, dump it out in the yard, or dump it out in the track or a driveway, whatever, and make it happen. I think loading the sand in, right? So do you, shovel that bitch in there? Do you rent a dingo? Do you buy a dingo at some point? What are the scales? What are the bottlenecks, right, that you need to look for in your workflow so that you can be as efficient as possible? And so those are just things I would think about off the rip. I also think though too is that if you price it right, I think you need to find my goal, if I were you in this, would be to find like 5 of your customers, right, that you really think you can sell this on. One, to test out your theories on workflow and productivity and everything like that. But also, 2, is that I would want to tits out their fucking lawns and take a whole bunch of pictures of the process and be doing it and what it looks like
Yeah.
after. And down the road to
Mhm.
be able to say, hey, listen, like if you want the ultimate platinum bottle service experiment where you don't even need to ask to have your balls cupped. I'm just going to cup your balls. It involves top dressing your lawn, right? And here's what that looks like, and here's what you get for it, right? So, I think that is a good strategy in terms of, getting yourself started out. You're a one man show, right? You don't want to bog yourself down with 20 jobs and sell yourself into oblivion to where now the other stuff is starting to suffer. So I think it's a safe scale to start with at that. Identify the bottlenecks, figure out your production rate, um, you know, model your pricing based on that. Don't be too aggressive that cost yourself money and everything like that. But also, think about your opportunity cost, right? What else could I be doing that would be making as much or more money during this time? And, try to find that sweet spot in there and then work with those customers and just say, hey, listen, this is a long-term effort and I want to help you get started and do this right. Do you mind if I take some pictures and share these out? Don't be like Doc and share pictures of Telly's yard after he is, completely tits it out and pass them off as your own. You shitbag motherfucker. Sorry. How dare you? How dare you?
Yes.
Yeah. The way I look at it is it's like the coolest marketing thing that you could ever imagine, because like imagine driving through just a normal basic neighborhood and you got Billy Bob on the corner and his yard looks like the Saharan desert. Like that's going to catch people's attention. Like no matter how bad it looks at that time, like it's going to catch somebody's eye and they're going to want to know, what the heck did you do that for? Like what did you put sand on his yard for? So to me it like generates calls. But the to answer your question, I had thought about it. It's not worth it to go buy a dingo or anything like that. I got some quotes for rentals. I can get like a rental for I think it's the Bobcat version. Yeah, the Bobcat version of the dingo.
Loader.
You get it for like $108 for the weekend.
Yeah,
like that's a screaming deal.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I've had the sand quoted. So tell me, am I a crackhead for wanting to use USGA spec sand? Because I found a guy a place locally that does it.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, if you can get a hold of that, my God, you are doing great. You're doing great.
I'm telling you, Jason, you're going to start making your own compost. Then we can call you a crackhead. I won't. But I'm just saying, try it once or twice, and dude, you're going to enter a whole other world of weird psychopathy. It'll be a thing. I'm telling you right now, it'll be a thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I even had it quoted, like, to have it brought, like how DeMay said, how it might be like expensive to have it brought to the house, especially if it's a long distance. Pretty much anything within a 40-mile radius, because I cover all the way from basically the tip of Myrtle Beach of South Carolina, so Calabash is what it is, all the way up to New Hanover County, which is where I'm at in Wilmington, all of Wilmington, a little bit into Duplin County, and then all the way up into Pender County. So I cover like a pretty large swath of area. And so from where this guy is at in South Carolina, anywhere from 50 miles in a circular radius is ridiculous of what he charges to bring it, like just to have it brought to the house. And so I've done the math, and it is cheaper just to go get it myself and bring it to a property and do it that way. And so like Ryan said, I have thought about some of those things, and that's like the scary thing, is because like having to think about all of the logistics that goes behind this. And then I got a guy that's going to help me do it. Which I think he's probably watching right now. What's up, Tim? But he's watching now, and he's going to help me. And so like thinking about all these logistics of having to pay him, having to pay for the sand, having to pay to get to where the sand's at, having to, get the rental, having to make sure that the customer has properly working irrigation so that the yard can pop back up through when we're done doing it, making sure that it's not going to be a, hurricane size rain the day after I do it and wash all the sand off the yard. Like those are all the things that freak me out. But at the same time, I feel like those are all like easily overcome obstacles if you just put the time in to think about it. But I don't know. It's just that's where I go back to what I was saying. That's like the biggest gray area I have. It's we could do a whole show dedicated to top dressing, I feel like.
Oh man, sign me up.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm
for sure, because
I haven't even looked in the chat. Is Aldo in here calling me a sand whore yet?
Yeah, I gotta tell you, Jason, that is the other thing that will set your lawns apart. Is how flat they are. Okay, how flat they are. And flatness of a lawn is something that I harp on. I harp on that because it's not the fert, it's not even the mowing, it's how flat that thing is. Okay? That is what sets a lawn apart.
Yeah. It all goes back to my
Right.
name. Like the name of the company is literally Precision Turf, and the reason I've named it that is because I want everything to be as precise as it can be. And so, like I said, it's like you're saying, Ray, like down to the most basic, precise thing that we can do on the yard. That's it, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Keep
really that's what we do.
reduce it down to fundamentals. Okay, reduce it down to the fundamentals, and to me, flatness is a fundamental. One of the fundamentals.
Oh yeah, 100%, no doubt about it.
What else you got for us, Jason? What else we need to talk about?
Let's see. You got any questions for me? And then if not, I got a question for y'all.
Hit us.
All right, ground pearl. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
What do we
Only
what do
a
we think
fucking
about
North
a
Carolina
minute
boy would
wedding?
do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you want to talk about ground pearl, Jason?
Yes.
Okay. Here's what, I've gotten out of it. What you're going to want is a high volume application of a combination of a pyrethroid and either imidacloprid or clothianidin.
Okay.
And when I say high volume, I mean 3 or more gallons per 1,000 square foot.
I got a skid sprayer sitting right outside with a Kappa 43. I can crank that joker up to 5 gallons per minute and let it sing.
Awesome.
That's
Awesome.
what you need to do. I'll do it.
Awesome, because I literally want you to water or drench the lawn in question with your insecticide mix. That's all I got. That's all I got for you. Okay. And the other thing that I would tell you is probably a 1/4 inch of additional irrigation afterward, immediately after you're done applying. Because your idea is to get that material down there. Because I notice some of the treatment failures in the various research studies, and they're spraying on non-irrigated turf. No wonder their app didn't work. And the last thing that I would advise you is see if you can include some kind of a wetting agent into your app. And a wetting agent. Yeah. And the reason why wetting agent is to make it so that the solution uniformly penetrates the soil profile.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I got for you. And by the way, let me ask, which turf types are being hit with this ground pearl?
Centipede grass and zoysia grass.
Oh!
Ground pearl and nematodes are the 2 most damaging things that I see on all of our turf grass here in the area.
My goodness!
Pretty gnarly lately, and ground pearl as well.
Well, you're kind of speaking my language, because I've had run-ins with soil-based scale insects, and as you know, nematodes are the thing in my area that nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah, Brent just said in the chat, by the way, a little Xteris too. That's exactly what I do. So in usually April, we'll go out.
Okay.
Bermuda grass gets pretty gnarly leaf spot, so I'll go out with Xteris on pretty much everything. And
however,
that's helped.
Do understand what a higher rate Exteris application is actually doing. You do know, right, Jason?
Yeah, the fluopyrin was a nematicide.
Is a nematicide, exactly. And especially if you're applying this fluopyrin app on an area that is irrigated, odds are, after application, that fluopyrin is going to enter the soil and do some work on the nematodes.
So I love Exteris. I like the price tag compared to Indemnify. That stuff makes me want to poop a brick and take out a home mortgage loan. I mean, that stuff is expensive.
Oh yeah, because you're not the first person to say that, and one of my suppliers once pulled me on the side a long time ago and said, "Hey, Ray, label rate of Exteris is the same as applying label rate of Indemnify." And I said, "Okay, and what's the price difference?" He then, pulled up the agency price for Indemnify, and then he pulled up the agency price for Exteris, and I said, "Okay, I think I'll take the Exteris today. Thank you."
How often do you run into it?
No, kind of curious.
What, ground pearl or nematode or both?
Either.
Both.
Yeah, ground pearl, but I'm more interested in.
Probably every out of 5 lawns, probably 2 or 3.
Holy shit!
Oh yeah,
North Carolina, got a North Carolina.
Yeah, and then nematodes. It's not that often nematodes, to be honest with you. Probably like one in every 5 yards, maybe. But it's more rare to find a nematode lawn. But I'll tell you, the other day, I don't know if I can do it. I'll send it to that email I did earlier. I'll send you a picture real quick, and if JPink can put it up, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I did a yard the other day for an estimate, and it was nematode and ground pearl at the same time. Ended up sending it off to NC State, and it came back. So, but yeah, nematode and ground pearls everywhere, and people mistake it. They think they'll jump to well, this guy X and X told me it was compaction, and it needed to be aerated. Or this guy said, I just need to put a fungicide down, or it was winter kill, and it takes 2 minutes. You take your soil probe out there, go stick it down a couple inches, and pull it out. And if it looks like somebody took pink glitter and poured it all in your soil, I mean, it's not that hard to figure out that it's ground pearl.
Jason.
But yeah,
do you know what my diagnostic is for nematode? In turf
spurge
grass.
and yellow and purple nutsedge.
And the turf area reacts in a very strange way to being irrigated, because
it's like hydrophobic.
No, not hydrophobic. My initial conversation with the customer usually is, "Hey Ray, my lawn keeps on drying out. Can you check the irrigation or whatever?" And the funny thing is that I go and I do a test cycle, and if that lawn has nematodes, what happens is, the second the water switches back off, it looks as if the turf is greening back up right before my eyes.
Yeah.
And so
you can kind of see it.
And so what my point is that if it is actual drought damage or an irrigation deficiency, the turf will not green up right away. It takes a long time for it to come back. But then if I have wilting, browning, discolored turf that just seems to green up right before my eyes as soon as it gets some water, I immediately think we need to treat for nematodes.
Yeah. If you look closely, you can see it right down that strip. They brought in fill dirt back in September and tried to sod it. That was all. So the yard's a mutt mix, which we're going to fix. There's a lot of Bermuda in it, so we're going to kill everything out and just throw the Bermuda in. But They came in and put fill dirt right there down in the middle. And you can see exactly where the line where they brought the fill dirt in. And the place that they brought it from is known historically for having problems in there and the dirt that they have. And then they sodded it with centipede right there in the middle. And then the zoysia kind of started to grow back in. And then they called their company, I think had True Green doing it. And they called True Green. They're like, hey, why is the yard dying? And if you look closely, you can see it's like starting to move towards the street and it's starting to go back towards the house on the back end. And yeah, I just went out there, pulled a probe, and just ground pearl all in it, and then we just sent the sample off, and it came back. It was off the charts for nematodes, and I felt bad for the people they've been lied to. But yeah, like that's not a random occurrence. Like that's a quarter of the lawns you're going to run across are going to look something like that, and it may be in other spots, and that was a lucky yard. It just started, so we were going to be able to fix it, but still sucks.
Yeah, for sure.
Here, hold on. I'll really get you guys going if you want to see that. Give me 1 second.
Oh boy.
You guys will like this.
Yeah.
You guys are going to have a conniption fit when you see what I'm about to show you.
Hard to horrify me.
No.
I'm a fan
Yeah,
of
no,
conniption
you're
fits.
going to flip.
I have 2 a day.
You're going to flip.
And a baby aspirin.
And a baby aspirin.
Yeah. Here, hold on. You got to go back and find it. All right. Anyways, hey, can I go over my program with you guys real quick? And then I'm not trying to keep you forever. I want to make sure I'm not tripping balls.
Well,
So
that we cannot guarantee.
Yeah.
But if you need an opinion, I mean, you've got qualified people here.
Tripping for almost 20 years now, as a matter of fact.
Still laying on this goddamn bearskin rug, too. Fuck.
Yeah. All right. I just sent it. You guys will like that picture. It's a large patch picture, and then I'll tell you the backstory behind it. Okay, so it's 9 apps a year, like I said. I'm not going to like bore you with all the details on every different turf type, but I just want to like see if there's anything I can tweak or anything. So round 1 and round 2, split apps of prodiamine. I hate dithiapyr. I don't think it works that well. I just don't use it, and it's expensive too. And also, I like to turn my permagreen yellow. So yeah, so 2 split apps of prodiamine in the spring. Typically, like I'll do like just a basic 3-way in January or February because there's really nothing going on because I do spectacle in the fall. So, oh yeah, but yeah, real quick, that's large patch. So this guy came in. This is the only top dressing guy I was telling you guys about. He came in and top dressed this yard in like the first week of November, and it got cool overnight. And every yard in that neighborhood looked like that. You can, yeah, if you zoom in closely, you can see where they came in and put the compost down.
Is this Black Cow, bro? Did he?
Yeah, man. I don't know what kind of compost they chose, but old boy's been urinating on it for a long time undercover.
You're telling me if I put down a 1-1-1 compost in November when it's cool outside that I'm going to get large patch? What?
Yes.
That's pretty.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, you see, this is Jason the fallacy.
I like the big square right there. The rectangle that he managed to code right into the fucking yard there. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, but,
how'd you do that?
But this is the fallacy that the compost worshippers sell people. They say that compost counteracts disease. False. Compost can create disease. All right? Compost can create disease because I've seen some research reports, of various credibilities that say, oh, yeah, you put compost and compost type products. Oh, it is antagonistic to disease. Well, you know what? This picture right here craps all over that. And I have personal experience with compost top dressed lawns that have not also received fungicide at the correct time. They start their large patch in November or December as well. It happens.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So round 1 and round 2 are pretty similar. Round 1's going to be a half a pound of prodiamine, and then just a basic 3-way. Like I said, I run Spectacle in the fall, so typically everything's pretty clean by the time I get around to it. Round 2, again, another half a pound of prodiamine, and typically I'll put simazine in there. The only reason I'm putting simazine in there is because we get usually warm in like late January, early February, and it's weird. Every year we can get in like to the 70s or usually kind of for about 2 weeks. And I find that we get like a pretty large like spike in annual bluegrass germination at that time. And so I can kind of hit some POA that may come up a little bit. So I'll use simazine at a quart an acre, and that usually will take it out in the centipede. Um, and then usually metsulfuron in that round as well. And then the next round is typically just going to be, like I said, the Exteris round, because I just like to go ahead and get it done with. Just go ahead and knock it out. And usually in that round also, I'm debating whether or not I want to use fipronil this year again, because it's so dang expensive. It's kind of just hard to justify. So if you have any suggestions on fire ant control, that would be pretty good.
Top choice
Something
comes
other
with
than
a
probably
guarantee. So if you do top choice, I
guarantee
know
yeah.
they will guarantee the product cost. If you apply according to label instructions and you continue to have fire ants, they will refund your money.
I've never had a salesman ever tell me that, and I can't tell you how much top choice I've bought. Like, I've never had anybody tell me that. Are you serious?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a long-standing
I've been lied to.
a guarantee they have.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
their backed by Bayer guarantee on top choice. So
Yeah.
yeah, you have that.
Yeah, so typically, like I said, I'm sorry, Ray.
So I would not look for a less expensive product that doesn't come with that kind of backing. I
didn't mean less. I didn't mean more or less expensive. I just kind of meant something that is just a little different, because for some reason, like I've never had great control with it, and I don't know if it comes down to an application error on my part. I've never seen the level of control that warrants the price for it, and that's just me. I may be crazy, but I don't know.
Well,
and we may have some fire ant, species down here that is just mad all the time, that just laughs at it.
Because the alternative treatment program is bifenthrin at high rates broadcasted several times a year. That's the alternative.
Yeah.
Your material cost is lower, but then you're spraying more. Okay, that's the alternative. Your alternative program is to make a bifenthrin app as often as monthly at the highest rate. Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
There's not really a good way.
Yeah, there's not really a good way to do it. I mean, it's kind of a case of, if you can
I do a bifenthrin
in
IGR?
Maybe. However,
I don't know any IGRs specific to fire ants. That's purely from a place of ignorance. It's not something I've ever heard.
Oh,
so
I thought it's like if you applied an IGR, they would take it back to the queen, and then preferably that would.
Yes and no.
Social. I don't know.
Yeah, yes and no, because the other issue is that many of the IGRs that do work on fire ants are also not particularly environmentally stable. In other words, their half-life, once it's out in the environment, is counted in days. Okay, because I'm familiar with a lot of the IGRs that are, for example, used for structural pest control. They're fantastic for collapsing a cockroach infestation, for example, or a bedbug infestation. However, that's indoors, not exposed to UV light.
That is true. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely ask my rep about the top choice guarantee now that I've heard about that. I'm gonna get on his butt about that. But yeah, so like I said, Xteris just to get out ahead of all the nematodes with that. And then probably now that I've talked to you about the ground pearl thing, I may even add that into there as well. I just pull the skid off for an entire round. But anyways, and like I said, something for fire ants, mole crickets. So that's round 3. So that leaves 6 left. So what would that be? 4, 5, 6 are all going to be our fertilizer apps. So it just depends on what I want to run at the time of the year. Shaddix has got me on an AMS kick here recently, and I can't deny that the grass doesn't look hot when I do it that way. So probably going to run a pretty cheap program this year because I can't argue with it. Like all the soil tests that I've done, everything's sufficient enough in P and it's sufficient enough in K. So why not just run in? So and ammonium sulfate seems to be pretty freaking cheap. So
it can be.
Yeah. So yeah. So probably AMS. I mean, centipedes, I'll usually do like a 1-to-1 N to K with AMS and SOP, just because I don't want to kill it. And centipede, I'll usually only fertilize once a year, and then after that, I'll let it be. But yeah, so like I said, rounds 4, 5, and 6 are going to be a granular fert, and then typically I have a product from Simplot. I don't remember the name, but it's just like a ferrous sulfate concentrate that I can get, and I mix it down on the permagreen and spray it out that way. And then usually like feature or something along those lines. So, and then throughout the middle of the summer, St. Augustine, we're going to run Arena, clethianidin, and usually bifenthrin for chinch bug, usually in the beginning of June. And then I am going to run, usually hate me for it. I know you say about the oxystrobin on dollar spot. I do agree with you. I've read the papers, but it seems to work decently well for me.
But you're spraying it when?
When?
The azoxystrobin.
Yeah, that's only on Bermuda grass for dollar spot. Yeah. Usually in
$4 spot.
Yeah.
I have I've never seen azoxystrobin control. Are you sure it's dollar spot?
Yeah. I mean, the only strobe that has suppressive control
Let me go and look at my paper.
by label is polyacrostrobin, right? Insignia.
Yes, Ryan.
No, you are right. I'm tripping balls. Never mind. You're right.
There's one more. There's one more strobilurin that does have some slight suppression characteristics, and that is trifloxystrobin.
Yep.
Okay, trifloxystrobin is the other one that doesn't flare dollar spot. However, even then, notice how trifloxystrobin is usually marketed, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm now looking at my pricing street, and I'm remembering that Insignia is the one that makes me have a heart attack every time I buy it. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Insignia, that
Lexicon's expensive too.
Yeah, but then I still remember when the only way you could buy Insignia was as the DF, and it came in like a 5-pound package.
Yep.
Bring money. That was expensive.
Yeah. So the have you guys come across anything for chinch bug that's cheaper than Arena? Because Arena seems to be like the best thing.
Not nearly as effective. I mean,
yeah.
The only thing,
everything
is just expensive.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I just say that Arena, for its efficacy, is probably one of the best things going right now, because what I deal with is pyrethroid resistant chinch bug. I deal with that. I have that.
And it lasts pretty long too.
it works.
Yeah.
The thing
Does a
that's
pretty good
been
job.
interesting this year is the Acelepryn Extra. So it's chlorotranilipril and then thiamethoxypham, which is a neonic, and the pricing, they have gotten like super aggressive with that pricing to where you can basically make that it's a one app deal, right? You go out in like May, right? And you're taking care of all that, right? But if you're not in grub territory, then yeah, like Arena is going to be your best bet.
Yeah, we don't really
So
have
that's
grubs
just for the folks that are.
around here.
I was going to say that's for the folks that if you're having grubs or grub issues, right? I'd look at that just from a pricing standpoint and see what kind of get. I don't know. It might have only been early order. I can't remember how they had that program going, but it was a
I
pretty
think,
solid deal.
I
But
think
yeah,
that was an
Arena
early order.
lights out.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the Acelepryn Extra was, I think, a EOP program. Ryan, I think that was an EOP. I think that was an EOP type deal, and however, timing of that is rather funky because I know thiamethoxam as the other neonic that is intended for use as a reactive treatment to an ongoing insect infestation. That's what thiamethoxam is known for, is that you don't apply thiamethoxam preventatively.
It does pretty good. When Meridian first came out from Syngenta, they touted it. It was before Acelepryn was there in their stable, and they were touting it pretty heavily for grubs and for chinch, and you could kind of use it for both, and it was long acting and all this kind of stuff. And it proved out that it was just like any other neonic when it came to grubs, right? Like it was super sensitive on timing, and your control was usually limited enough that if it was a high population, you were going to get fucking smoked, and it didn't matter, right? And so, as DuPont sold out and the Acelepryn got picked up and everything like that, and made it all better, and they just came out with this product this year, and it's Matt's favorite thing. We package two products together, we slap a new name on it, and hey, look, it's new.
Like Celsius
Not
Extra.
really.
Celsius Extra. I mean, that's yet another.
It's like
one.
having a
Actually,
threesome with two
PBI
of your
Gordon-
ex-girlfriends, Matt. Is it really that fun and new and
Nope.
interesting? No.
We're not even going to
That's
go.
what
We're
PBI
not going to
Gordon
do it.
does.
Never. Not even once.
Every product
Bad
they
idea.
make is the
Nope.
same exact AI, and they just switch them around and call it something new zone. And
Funny how
call
that
it-
works.
or just keep on coming up with all of these interesting combinations, combine old with new, where, man, I mean, I just because I remembered a product that has shown some efficacy on ground pearl, but you need to apply it how I described, and that would be FMC's Triple Crown.
Yeah, I've ran Triple
Yeah.
Crown before,
Right?
not for ground
But-
pearl, but for other things. Yeah,
Well, for other things, yeah. But then that could possibly work for ground pearl. Only thing that is kind of the bummer for me is what Triple Crown costs. It's expensive. It's a super expensive
is.
way to buy bifenthrin and imidacloprid.
it didn't have zeta cypermethrin in it as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it has zeta cypermethrin, but the only advantage I can think of for zeta cypermethrin is that zeta cypermethrin works faster on certain insects.
Yeah,
That's the only advantage I can think of, but other than that, it doesn't give me anything that would cause me to say that this is a lot better than rolling my own with bifenthrin and imidacloprid.
yeah.
Not for the
yeah,
price.
so that's that time period, and then usually once we get into middle of July, I'll run a Celiprin, but not actually a Celiprin, Durentis. Um,
Mm.
I mean,
Sure.
chlorantraniliprole. I'll bet my bottom dollar that if I spray chlorantraniliprole or any diamide, I'm not going to have any breakthrough, and I haven't so far. So I guess I'm lucky on that front. And then typically around like August, I'll go ahead and start my Indaziflame rounds only because I've seen POA pretty early the last couple of years. So I just try to get ahead of it as fast as I can.
When
So
do
I'll
you
usually run
typically see
that
it?
August 15th, usually by like you can
Yeah.
bet your bottom dollar August 15th it's going to be, but it's tiny. Like you got to be looking for it and you got to
Mhm.
know historically where it's at pretty bad
Yeah,
and you can
yeah.
go and
It's gonna
find
be
it.
by an air conditioner or somewhere like that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, yeah, every year. I actually have a property well, I don't do it anymore, but there used to be an apartment complex, and it was right by the, entrance where they walk to the front door. It was had
Mhm.
just enough shade, and actually, I took this trick out of Ryan's book, what's Sun Surveyor? Is that the name of the app?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
You
yeah.
can
Jesus, damn,
I
you
use it
do
all the
you.
time.
You're this is deep cuts, dog. Deep cuts. Holy shit.
Deep cuts.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so I'll usually take,
seriously.
Sun Surveyor out, and I'll look and I'll find, like, where the sun comes up, where the sun comes down, and that same spot all day never gets any sun. And so, I mean, it just stays cool and it stays wet because it's a little bit lower than the concrete, and there's a head right there. It's the perfect germination spot for POA. Like, you can bet August 15th it's gonna be there. I don't care if it's 100 degrees outside, it's gonna be there. Um, so, yeah, I just have PTSD with annual bluegrass. So, anyways, I usually run
Try try and
Indaziflame right around.
try and grow it
Yeah,
at an eighth of an inch in the middle of summer.
I'm good. I'll pass on that. um, yeah, so I'll run that typically at that time of the year. Um, and then whatever post emergent. I mean, I'm kind of like Paul's prime cuts. If I come across a yard and I see something, I'll mix up something for it and spray it. But if I don't, I usually just mix and match from lawn to lawn. It saves me money doing it that way. So I'm not going to tell you what herbicide I'd run because I don't know. It just depends on what I see.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
Fair
That's
enough.
a good
yeah,
plan. Yeah. Whatever's in the
enough.
barn, right?
yeah, I'm
Or
like
whatever you need to.
if you're
Whatever you need
if
to
you're breaking it
apply.
down to an
Whatever you.
IPM program, like if it's an IPM program, like you're going to want to do it when you see it at the time you see it. And if I don't see a problem in the yard and I don't see a reason to tank mix an expensive herbicide and waste my money, why am I going to do it? So I just
I
kind of
believe on the school lunch menu, Jason, they call that cook's choice.
yeah, chef's choice. Yeah, yeah. No lasagna for you today, but
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. So that's that round. And then typically probably September, like middle of September. That's when large patch like Rhizoctonia starts to get pretty bad from the picture that you saw. So usually just a QOI and a DMI, like that's all you need really to get around it. So I'll usually run 2 applications of that back to back, try and get there. My rounds are every 6 weeks. So as long as I can get back between 6 weeks, I'm usually okay. I'm usually kind of working right out of that window for the 45-day mark. Um, but yeah, so that'll be that round. And usually I'll have metsulfuron in the tank with 32 ounces of simazine again. Because if you just run Indaziflame by itself for a pre-emergent round in the fall, you're going to have annual bluegrass. There's no way around it. You have to have a gnarly program to get around it. And I find the metsulfuron also kind of carries me over for anything that may have popped up between that last spectacle round, and it also kind of carries me with that residual. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I'll usually that's that round. Um, and then the last round of the year is another round of Indaziflame at 4 ounces an acre. Um, so yeah, I mean that's kind of it. For any other odd
That's a
insect
great
pests that I come
program.
across, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean if
Yeah.
there's any,
That sounds pretty damn badass to me. I don't think you're gonna run
okay,
into
I
too
mean,
many problems.
I was gonna say. I mean, I think that's a program that I call that a. Don't take this the wrong way. I call that a tweaker program, and the reason I call that a tweaker program is that
tweak your
there will be no big big knobs to turn on that one, right? It'll just be little tweaks here and there, right?
Yeah,
That's my hope.
And
that's a good way to put it.
That's the hope.
I
You know
mean,
what?
I have to share this. Go ahead.
I call that likewise the just about all bases covered program. That I like it. And my other little hint to you is, how much Exteris are you putting down in your spring app?
I'd have to go back
How many
and
ounces
look
per?
at the label.
No, how many ounces? How many
Yeah.
ounces per thousand? And the reason why I ask is
I'd have to
because
look. Yeah, I can find out for you though.
you are allowed up to 12 ounces of Exteris per year. And the reason why I bring that up is because I use Exteris as one of my large patch prevention apps. I apply half in the spring and then the second half in the fall. And that's something that has worked out for me on varieties of zoysia that are otherwise very susceptible to both nematodes and large patch.
Yeah, large patch is pretty gnarly around here. That's like the biggest. I feel like that's one of the bigger game players. That's not ground pearl or nematodes. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the dominant one that's going to hit centipede, everything that's not Bermuda, right? It's rare you're going to see it on Bermuda, but everything else that's going to be one of your prominent ones. Probably gray leaf spot too on St. Augustine, though.
I was going to say, yeah, that you just read my mind. Thiophanate methyl usually in the summertime for St. Augustine, because gray leaf spot is gnarly. I mean, oh my goodness, that stuff is crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's terrible.
North Carolina has more gray leaf spot. I mean, Paul Outlaw always talks about it too. He's like, you would not believe how bad it is late summer.
Yeah, it's rough. And do you know what the coolest part about running thiophanate methyl is for me? This machine that's back here. Oh, wrong hand again. This hand right here. That Triumph, dude. It literally looks like Elmer's glue coming out the front of that flood nozzle. It is crazy. It's such a high rate. Like it looks like Telly Coleman just busted a nut inside my tank and just went out and started spraying. It's nuts.
Oh, man.
No pun intended.
I just
Love
be
it.
careful on your TMAF. Just don't get resistant to it, because then when you're TM resistant and you got gray leaf spot populations like you do, boy,
You're up a creek.
boy,
It's a bad day.
It's
You're-
you're just going out and aggressively marketing your overseeding programs with GLS resistant varieties, right? Like that's all you got at that point, I'm not even going to sell you the fungicide program, right? I'm not going to sell you fire insurance. I'm just going to go ahead and construct more fire hydrants around your house. That's the best I can do.
Yeah, well, it's like goosegrass, right? Like goosegrass, like I said earlier in the show, goose is crazy here. Like it's nuts. And there's not much you can do about it because it's resistant to all your group threes. Just like there's nothing you can do about it on that front, right? So then you're left with spectacle in like the middle of the spring, like you're a late app of spectacle. So then you're going to prune the crap out of the roots before you go into summertime on non-irrigated turf. So that's an excellent idea. Or the other option is you can go out there and you can light it up with metribuzin and be the only person that kills it. And so it's just.
Let me give you a hint.
Like let
me give you a hint on that one.
Yeah.
Let me give you a hint on that
ALS
one,
resistant
Jason.
as well. Yeah.
Hang on. Let me give you the hint on that one. The move on particularly recalcitrant goosegrass is metribuzin plus Pilex or metribuzin plus tenacity. That's your move. And say you have something like that has invaded centipede grass. You have another out on that, and that is thymazine plus tenacity.
Mm-hmm.
that will
Yeah, the
fry.
photosystem 2s and the HPPDs, that just blocks all the bleaching out of it from what I've found.
Well, it mitigates the bleaching,
Shout
but
out
then
Mr.
what
Dr.
that
Jim Brosnan, the greatest of all time.
no, and shout out Joe DeFrank.
Oh,
Okay, shout out Joe DeFrank, because Joe DeFrank is the one that's actually been working on this. Because do you know what pisses me the hell off?
Oh no, what?
All of these Southeast people taking credit for that when it was Joe DeFrank that worked on it.
Go Vols.
Okay,
Shout
he's the
out.
one that he's the one that figured out that by combining a HPPD inhibitor with a triazine, you got absolute total control on goosegrass that has gotten resistant to even revolver.
Yeah.
All right.
So you're saying the Southeast guys did it better? Oh boy, Ray ran out of words on that one. I about got my ass.
No, they didn't do it better. They just didn't give credit, Matt. They didn't give credit. I mean,
sounds about Southern.
You know,
I mean,
they didn't give him credit. They knocked down Aloha Stadium. You know, it's tough being a Manoa alum right now. You know, it's real tough.
yes.
But yeah, so that's my program. It's nothing. It's not like crazy or anything, but it's just I don't know. I think it's a little different than the 7 app.
I think
put biosolids on your yard and spray pre-emergence and call it a day.
It's significantly different than that.
There's a guy. We just heard earlier this week, right? What's so bad about the biosolids? Carbon.
What's so bad?
What's so bad?
It's a it feeds the soil. Feeds the
Good
soil.
Lord.
Adds carbon to the soil.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. So no, I think the program, Jason, is this. It's I think it's solid in its foundation, right? And there's nothing shaky in there. There's nothing where you're getting sold a bill of goods, and in fact you're going to your suppliers and telling them what you want, which we always say is like, kind of like that really first big step to kind of say, okay, hey, here's what I want to take it, right? I'm not just going out of the recipe book right now. I'm cooking, I'm baking, I'm doing the stuff that I know that is going to make this be what it should be. And I also think too that it's flexible enough, right, that it's built to do that. I just like it. I think from a agronomic standpoint, but I also like it too because, as you said at the top of this, right, it is outcome based, just like what Ray does, just like what I do. And Matt does that on the fertilizer side now, or the product side. It's outcome based. Like, we're here to deliver you an outcome. This is the shit I need to do and have at my disposal to produce that outcome, and you're gonna fucking pay me for that. And if you want me to go out and walk sped 24/5/11 with prodiamine on it in front of your warehouse or strip mall, well, you can go fuck yourself.
Oh yeah, couldn't say it better myself.
In fact, here's a couple Arby's coupons. Why don't you go in there? You should do it in there. All right. So take that sweaty ass crack and turn it into beef and cheddar. All right. What other questions do you have for us?
That was about it. I started a tree and shrub program not too long ago, so I've started doing that as well.
Ooh,
what's your tree shrub program?
Oh,
now to be honest with you, I used to do the plant healthcare rounds when I worked at Freedom Lawns back that was the first job I worked at, and I kind of got my feet wet in that. It's been a while since I've done it, but so it's typically a horticultural oil end of the year, just to kind of minimize anything during the wintertime. I'm not that confident in this program, just to be quite frank and honest with you. And then usually it's 5 times a year, so it's nothing gnarly. And then I was thinking about maybe doing like an insecticide, fungicide every round as I go out because.
Don't.
Okay. All
Do
right.
not, Jason.
So I said I'm not that confident in this. I haven't.
No, I'm going to tell you.
I haven't done a whole lot with
Let me
it. Yeah.
explain why I'm saying do not. Is
Okay.
I have seen more problems caused by unnecessary fungicide and insecticide applications on ornamentals than not.
Well,
I've
if I
seen
told
more
you that we
problems
have
caused.
insects out the wazoo, would that change your mind at all, or no?
It still wouldn't change my mind because
Okay.
if somebody told me they had an insect pest issue on specific plants,
Mhm.
rather than broadcast applying a combination insecticide fungicide throughout the landscape, I would
Yeah.
be targeting those pest prone individual plants with a soil injection of imidacloprid or clothianidin. I would not be broadcast applying any kind of foliar insecticide.
Yeah, but then I'm not doing it. Then yeah, I don't want to do the whole injection thing. You're gonna freak me out doing that. I'm good. I'll pass. I'm getting out of the tree and shrub business, everybody. I'm not doing it.
No, you
Heard
gotta
it here.
try it once. Just don't, just be careful where you do it, kind of
That
sort of
scares
deal.
me.
It's
Yeah,
not
that
Well,
bad.
scares me.
Look,
it's not bad. It's not.
this is my tree shrub epiphany that I had was my tree shrub program got better when I stopped running preventative insect and disease control and just fertilized them. And when insect and disease control made sense was if it was like a crepe myrtle and I had been dealing with like, crepe myrtle bark scale or something like that, right? Something that has
Yeah.
consistently been getting away from doing the foliar applications and doing, like soil drench. Like soil drench and imidacloprid at the start of the season or something like that was way more effective than doing 4 rounds of Tall Star, Orthene, Merit, and Banner, and then 2 applications of fertilizer. There's something about spraying Merit that you will have the worst spider mites than you've ever seen.
I remember you talking about that with
Okay.
Ray because you and Ray figured that out. I think, right?
I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
we
it is crazy.
okay,
Yeah.
and I will also tell you, beware of this in that if somebody repeatedly makes foliar apps of imidacloprid in a landscape, they can literally create a condition where from that point on, the insects in that area are resistant to neonicotinoids. Don't ask me how I know this.
Yeah, I don't even really run imidacloprid in any of my programs, whether it's turf or tree and shrub. I just find
You
it's
know,
easier to not mess with it. it I
you know
don't want to
what,
take
Jason?
the risk from
I
using it.
don't have any particular aversion to imidacloprid. It's just that I use it in an appropriate manner to where it's effective and safe. Okay, I mean I don't have a special objection to it. Whereas Funny Matt should mention, Telstar, Orthene, Merit, and Banner because I still remember the mess created by somebody here in town, and his thing was, Matt, you're gonna hate this one. Can you imagine a jabroni putting Telstar, Merit, and horticultural oil into one of those Ortho Hosend spray guns?
That doesn't
Boy,
sound like it ain't good.
Yeah.
I can't say
And
that's a good idea.
okay, and so what this jackwagon did is, as a result of him doing that, he created a condition where the mealybugs and whiteflies in an entire neighborhood were resistant to both pyrethroids and neonicotinoids. I had a problem.
Jesus.
I had
Right,
a
you could be like
problem.
the
Golly.
guy that went out with a horticultural oil on Leland cypress in the middle of July when it was 120 degrees outside.
Oh
You'd be like that
shoot!
guy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
No more Leland
I
Cypress for
still,
you.
yeah, I still get. So anyway, the way I ended up resolving this was I then had to use foliar apps, except it was with orthene, port oil, and IGRs. The very things that I want to avoid doing, because I'm talking about having to spray 20-foot tall palm trees, Matt.
I'm good on that.
Now
that's all because
the fert. I was gonna say the fert I've been using. It's Matt. Have you ever heard of Ultrasol before?
Ultrasol, yeah.
It's a triple 20.
Yeah.
That stuff is
Hallelujah.
Great.
Hallelujah,
Yeah,
Matt.
Ultrasol
awesome.
is from the sulfate of potash company, and I think I think Coke recently bought them. No, it's SQM. I'm sorry, it's SQM. They're out of Chile. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's
Ultrasol
like
is good shit.
It's like AMS, DAP, iron. It's like all EDTA, chelated everything. It's
all
a good
EDTA,
product.
all the EDTA. You know what?
Yeah,
They're
I was just gonna
big
say,
in hydroponics. Like that is their primary market. I mean, they're a huge company, and I think they're actually out of Chile, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
and it's interesting. Do you
SQM
have the one that's kind of like a flake?
yeah. It's what drew me to it was the bag. Like when I walked into my supplier and I saw the bag, I was like, "What the heck is that? Like that's cool looking. Like just the bag looked like super nice. It's a super awesome looking, like waxy looking bag. If that makes
Yeah,
any
typical
sense.
Euro
It's
bags.
just
They
super high.
they spend money on their
Yeah, it's high
packaging.
quality. It looks like a Yara
Well,
bag. Like if you see it, it just
Mhm.
catches your eye. Rest in
Mhm.
peace, Yara, by the way. But
Motherfuckers.
yeah, but you know what,
yeah.
Jason, you would be miles ahead, because this is my experience dealing with a lot of ornamentals too. Is to make the majority of my applications to shrubs and ornamentals that triple 20 soluble, plus minus
That's what I've been
additional
doing. And
additional micronutrients, and essentially skip the whole concept of applying insecticides and fungicides to plants that don't need it, and for plants
I can
that
do that.
do
Yeah.
need it, and for plants that do need insect control, as I said, my go-to has always been imidacloprid applied as a soil injection. That's my go-to. It works
Yeah, I
like
can do that.
magic.
That's fine.
Yeah, that works like magic. And the thing is that you will find that if you apply imidacloprid to the soil only, not foliarly, you don't flare spider mites, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of spider mite. It's mainly like oyster scale
Yeah.
is a big one. Aphids,
Mm-hmm.
bagworms. That's another one. Like we have a lot of like evergreens around here, so we get bagworms pretty bad. But that's about it. It's not too bad. And then fungus like anthracnose. Trying to think, leaf spot, of course, like helminthosporium is always going to be a problem.
Sure.
Just little things like that. Rust. I mean,
Okay.
it's not like terrible.
my
Like it's not like a horrible thing that like array of things that we're going after.
Sure. And
Pretty simple,
I can also tell you that for those foliar diseases,
Yeah.
fortunately for you, did you know that you can still use mancozeb and chlorothalonil on ornamentals?
I did know you could use chlorothalonil on ornamentals. I did know that. That still freaks me out though.
What?
But here's the thing: is
Yeah,
that
I don't know. After seeing the whole thing with what's his face, the idiot on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, he's telling
Oh,
people to spray it on lawns. I mean, he's spraying it, having it in your tank, and you're walking to the door, and
yep.
you accidentally squeeze
However,
the trigger or whatever. That's an accident.
yeah, oh, here. Okay. However, if you, for example, combine, say, mancozeb with a DMI and a strobilurin, that is total disease control on most shrubs and ornamentals. And
now that you
for
said I can do it, I'll do
example,
it.
yeah, because for example, do you know what's essentially lights out for me for most foliar diseases on ornamentals? Is
that?
mancozeb plus Armada.
Yeah, no, I've ran Armada before, and that was pretty good control.
Yeah, Armada is awesome, or Armada can be awesome. But caveat is always combine with a contact multi-site fungicide. Always combine. In fact, in ag, because they can, they often combine that type of fungicide with mancozeb. Okay? They don't try to fly that solo, especially not on a high value crop. I mean, if you're talking about trying to do a a strobilurin or a DMI on thousands of acres of wheat, well, money's an issue. But if it's a high value specialty crop, it's mancozeb plus the systemic fungicide.
Yeah, I was going to ask too. Do you have a problem with Orbix on ornamentals?
Excuse me?
I think it's a Helena product.
I don't see why not.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely not.
I've used it a few times. I just didn't know if I was doing anything, like if that was too many micros compared with the Ultrasol, because the Ultrasol has like manganese, iron, molybdenum, things like that in there. But I didn't know if
I
combining
mean,
it
if
with
you're
Orbix
already
would be too
running the
much.
triple 20, are you really getting any benefit by throwing the Orbix into it? Probably not.
I just
Can
saw
you
color
can
response
you
out of it.
just switch to the 853 to alternate away from the triple 20? Hell yeah. So Orbix used to have another name. I can't remember what it was. But
There's
I
Orbix and there's
agree.
Axilo Mix 5. Those are the two that are very similar to each other.
I liked
Zillow.
Yeah, I liked the Orbix. That was always a fun one. I don't know why, but it always did really well.
Yeah, it's a good product. It
I'm
does.
drawing a
I
blank
mean,
on
it
what
does
it
what it
used
needs
to
to
be.
do.
It started with a K. And it used to, I don't know if it still does or not. I know they don't label it anymore, but it used to have on the label that it contained salicylic acid.
Oh shit! It was
Is it still
kickstand.
in there?
Kickstand.
Kindle. Was it kickstand?
Might have been.
I thought kickstand was
I'm looking it up right now.
an adjuvant.
No, it was a
PGR. Oh wait, no. Highly accommodated EDTA micronutrients designed to be there needs. Right. On the Kindle. They have scraped all their. Oh wait, here's an old one. What is this? Syngenta Biologicals called Kindle.
Kickstand is a 413.3 from what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah. The other one that's in that's in Orbix is Renova, not Renovo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Renova, I've sprayed a lot of Renova too. I liked it as well. I have no idea.
Orbix is pretty good.
I don't even remember the label, but I remember spraying it.
Yeah. I remember Orbix the first time I sprayed it was on camellias in like December when they were blooming. Oh my goodness. It like took them to a whole nother level. They looked like blue when I came back 2 weeks later. It looked pretty cool looking. The blooms are even
Dude,
brighter
the
than what they
company
were
that
before.
made Valagro made the Kindle product. Now Syngenta sells it, and you can't even look at the damn label. You have to request information. What is this? What is Syngenta Biologicals? It was
no idea.
not a biological product.
My uncle works for Syngenta. I can get you a label if you want.
Yeah, if you don't mind, give me one. I'm trying to zoom in on the damn thing every which way from Sunday, and I can't. Maybe I just go to the Valagro. You can't mistake that damn label. It had that super European look. That one you have to request more information. What is going on? Why are they doing this to me? Oh, here we go. Here's an old Kindle. Here we go. This is a different one because this is a 3015. I know it's not that. Urea corn steep liquor. How about just really not being honest with what's in your product? Can anyone tell me what corn steep liquor is?
Do you drink it?
That is the byproduct.
Sounds what
No, that's the
I wouldn't drink it.
byproduct. No, that's the byproduct of making bourbon.
Yeah, that's exactly
like-
what it sounds like. You know, there's
It's
always
what Lee
some
drank in
things that come
Appomattox.
out of Italy.
Yeah, it's the byproduct of making bourbon, man.
God, look, dude, here's another label for it. I think this is closer. So this is a 3 0. No, this is the same one. And again, this is in multiple different languages. This is in Italian. I can't read this shit. What am I doing? Polish, Portuguese. I mean, I'm shit out of luck on this.
Here.
Never mind. They stole my Kindle Thunder. Where you at, Valagro? Maybe I can check their SDS. Oh, that's what they're going to do. They're going to be real transparent on their SDS, right? Right?
Mhm.
Nope. This is the particular formulation has been withheld due to trade secret. Awesome. Blah. Anyway, fuckers. Story of my life. All right, boys. Jason.
Come back on sooner than
Yes, sir.
15 months from now. Come back on a year from now.
I was like, I
I
can't
will.
hear you.
Less.
Where did
I
you
will.
go?
We timed this perfect because my laptop. I was sitting there. Saw it. It was like 2%. I was like, oh, this thing's gonna
He's
die.
got battery anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuba. Thank you, brother. Come back on seriously anytime you want. Anytime you want, and keep us
Stay in
updated on
touch.
how it's
Come
going
back.
this year.
Problem. That's not
All
a
right.
problem.
We
Hey,
appreciate
can I say
you, man.
2 things before I go?
Yeah.
Yes.
Subscribe to me on YouTube. I make like little tiny videos every so often of spraying.
Yeah.
It's literally my name, Jason Herring. I make stupid grass videos, so hit the subscribe button. It'd be cool. See more
Do
than
it.
2 people on there. And then the second thing is too, and then J Pink, get ready to hit close after this. Yardbruh is a pedophile. Unsubscribe. Peace out, people.
Yardbra.com.
Oh.
Yardbra.com. Yardbra.com.
Love you, brother. Have a good night.
Love you.
I'll see y'all.